The absolute disrespect. The complete and utter disrespect shown to Roman Reigns this week on SmackDown had the entire WWE Universe losing their minds, and if you're not already furious about what happened, stick around because this video is about to change everything you thought you knew about the direction of WWE heading into WrestleMania season. I'm talking about a moment so controversial, so shocking, that it's divided the entire fan base right down the middle, and honestly, I might have unpopular opinions about what this means for the future of professional wrestling as we know it. Last night, Cody Rhodes stood in that ring with the biggest smirk on his face, completely ignoring the legacy and the undefeated streak that Roman Reigns has built over the past several years. He was parading around like he owned the entire company, acting like he was untouchable, unstoppable, and frankly, disrespecting everything that made WWE great in the first place. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. Here's where the dominoes start falling. Roman Reigns didn't just appear on the screen. Roman Reigns invaded. He came through those Titantron screens like a man on a mission, like a man who had enough of sitting on the sidelines watching someone else control his narrative. The way Roman looked at Cody, the way his eyes burned with intensity that we haven't seen in months. That wasn't the Roman Reigns we've been seeing lately. That was the tribal chief. That was the acknowledged leader of WWE, and he was furious. Cody's face when he realized what was happening tells you everything you need to know. Suddenly, that arrogance vanished. Suddenly, that confidence seemed a little bit shakier than before. Now, before we dive deeper into what this means, I need to ask you something in the comments section because I'm genuinely divided on this. Which outcome would you rather see? Should Roman Reigns go immediately after the Undisputed Championship, or should he take his time, rebuild that dominance, and make Cody suffer through an entire storyline before they clash? Because honestly, WWE is at a crossroads right now, and your answer in the comments might just predict where this entire storyline is headed. The return itself was perfectly timed. Think about it. Cody has been on this unstoppable run, beating everyone in his path, accumulating momentum that seemed impossible to stop. But Roman didn't return just to be another challenger. Roman returned because he knows something that we don't. He knows that Cody is vulnerable. He knows that beneath that slicked back hair and that confident swagger, there's a doubt creeping in. There's a fear that the one man who could legitimately take everything away from Cody is finally ready to make his move. During the segment, Roman didn't say much. He didn't need to. His presence alone sent shockwaves through that entire arena. The crowd erupted into an absolutely deafening roar because everyone watching knew that the game had changed. Everyone understood that we were witnessing a pivotal moment in WWE history. The big question that everyone started asking immediately was this: had Roman finally recovered from whatever was keeping him sidelined? Had the tribal chief rebuilt himself into the force of nature that once dominated every single competitor he faced? What makes this return so compelling is the timing within the broader context of WWE's current landscape. Cody has been painting himself as the hero, the man who rises above adversity, the American nightmare who conquered his demons. But Roman's presence challenges that entire narrative. Roman represents the old guard. Roman represents dominance through sheer force and incredible athleticism. These two philosophies crashing together is exactly what makes for the greatest professional wrestling matches. The moment Roman raised his finger to his neck, making that signature gesture, I literally had goosebumps covering my entire body. Cody's reaction was priceless because for the first time in a very long time, he was the one being intimidated rather than doing the intimidating. For the first time, he was the one looking over his shoulder wondering what comes next. Here's what we need to discuss, and please put your answer in the comments because I'm genuinely curious about the community perspective on this. Do you think Roman Reigns is coming back at 100%, or is this a situation where he might be slightly rusty after his time away? Because that's going to dramatically impact how this entire feud plays out. If Roman is at peak performance, nobody in the entire company can stop him. But if there's even a sliver of doubt, a tiny crack in his armor, then Cody could potentially exploit that and pull off one of the greatest David versus Goliath matches we've ever witnessed. The psychological warfare has already begun. Roman showing up on that screen wasn't just about making a statement. It was about getting inside Cody's head. It was about planting seeds of doubt. It was about reminding Cody that no matter how dominant you become, no matter how many championships you accumulate, there's always going to be someone else with something to prove, someone else hungry for your position. What really got to me, and I need to emphasize this because it's crucial to understanding where this story goes next, is the timing of this return leading directly into the Royal Rumble season. Think about the ramifications. If Roman enters the Royal Rumble match, he instantly becomes one of the favorites to win the entire thing. He instantly puts himself in the conversation for a main event spot at the biggest show of the year. This isn't just about Roman versus Cody anymore. This is about establishing who deserves to be at the absolute top of the entire company heading into WrestleMania. The bloodline connection is another factor that we absolutely cannot ignore in this equation. Roman has always been supported by his family, by his crew, by those who acknowledge his supremacy. Where is the bloodline in all of this? Are they backing Roman's return? Are they helping him rebuild? Or has something shifted in that dynamic during Roman's absence? These are the questions that could very well determine the outcome of everything moving forward. What blew my mind the most, and I want you to really think about this while you're watching, is how the commentators reacted to Roman's appearance. They were absolutely unhinged with excitement because they understand, on a deep level, that this changes everything. Michael Cole's voice went up several octaves. Graves was speechless. The production quality, the camera angles, everything was perfectly orchestrated to make this moment feel like the biggest deal possible. Now, let's talk about Cody's perspective for a moment, because it's equally important to understand his side of this equation. Cody has worked incredibly hard to get to where he is. He's fought through injury, fought through criticism, fought through people doubting whether he could ever reach the main event of WrestleMania on his own terms. He's finally achieved success at the highest level, and now here comes Roman Reigns, someone who arguably never had to work as hard because of his family legacy, his incredible physique, his natural charisma. From Cody's perspective, this must feel incredibly unfair, but that's what makes this feud so absolutely compelling. Because even though we might sympathize with Cody's position, we also understand that Roman's dominance is just on a different level entirely. Roman isn't returning for a quick match. Roman isn't returning to take a backseat. Roman is returning because he's ready to reclaim what he considers rightfully his. The technical wrestling ability of both men is absolutely phenomenal. Cody is incredibly athletic, incredibly intelligent in the ring, and he knows how to work a crowd better than almost anyone on the current roster. Roman, on the other hand, has this uncanny ability to make everything look devastating, to make every move feel like it matters, to control the pace and tempo of a match in ways that just make audiences hold their breath. Here's another question I need you to answer in the comments, because this is genuinely something that could impact the entire direction of this feud. If these two collide at WrestleMania, should it be a standard one-on-one match, or should it be something more stipulated? A Hell in a Cell match? A tribal combat match? A last man standing match? What do you think would best showcase the incredible abilities of both competitors while also delivering a match that will be talked about for years to come? The way WWE has been building this entire situation is masterful. They haven't rushed anything. They've allowed Cody to develop his storyline naturally. They've kept Roman's absence mysterious, which kept fans speculating and theorizing about when and how he'd return. And when he finally did return, it wasn't some over-the-top spectacle with pyrotechnics and music. It was simple. It was elegant. It was devastating. Just Roman Reigns on that screen, reminding everyone exactly who he is and what he's capable of. The championship implications here cannot be overstated. Cody holds the Undisputed Championship, one of the most prestigious titles in the entire history of professional wrestling. Roman has held that championship before. Roman knows what it feels like to be at the absolute pinnacle of the industry. But more importantly, Roman knows what it takes to maintain that level of excellence, that level of dominance, that level of being completely and utterly unstoppable. One of the most interesting aspects of this entire situation is how it impacts the rest of the SmackDown roster. Guys like Logan Paul, Gunther, and everyone else on that brand are now watching to see how this unfolds. They're reassessing their own positions. They're wondering if they should challenge for Roman's attention or if they should focus on other opportunities. The butterfly effect of Roman's return ripples through the entire company. The narrative going forward is absolutely crucial. WWE has to be very careful about how they tell this story because if they mess it up, they could lose the audience's investment entirely. But if they get it right, if they build this correctly, if they allow both men to flourish within this feud, then we could be looking at one of the greatest wrestling storylines of the entire decade. What I found absolutely brilliant about the way this was executed is that Roman didn't come out and immediately demand a match. He didn't cut a long, drawn-out promo. He just made his presence known and let the moment speak for itself. In professional wrestling, sometimes less is more. Sometimes the absence of words is louder than any speech could ever be. Roman understood that assignment perfectly. The injury recovery timeline is also something that makes this fascinating. How long has Roman been healing? How much work has he put in behind the scenes to get back to this point? Has he been training? Has he been maintaining his conditioning? All of these questions add another layer of intrigue to the situation. One thing that absolutely cannot be ignored is the way Cody's character has evolved since Roman's departure. Cody has become more vulnerable, more human, more willing to show his flaws. Roman's return forces Cody to potentially abandon some of that vulnerability and become hardened again. It forces Cody to become the fighter, the warrior, someone willing to do whatever it takes to maintain his position. The crowd reactions are going to be absolutely fascinating to follow moving forward. Will fans continue to support Cody, or will Roman's presence cause a massive shift in fan allegiance? Will we see a classic babyface versus heel dynamic, or will this be more nuanced? Will both men receive mixed reactions, highlighting the complexity of their positions? Here's what I'm most excited about as we move forward. I want to see how Roman reclaims dominance. I want to see him rebuild that confidence and that intimidation factor. I want to see him remind everyone why he spent so many months as an unstoppable force. But I also want to see Cody rise to the occasion and deliver the performance of his lifetime. The social media reaction to this return has been absolutely insane. Fans are creating theories, analyzing every frame of footage from that segment, discussing what it all means. The WWE Universe is alive right now in ways it hasn't been in several months. That's the power of bringing someone back at the right time, in the right way, with the right message. So let me ask you one final question before we wrap this up, and please answer it in the comments because your perspective matters. Do you think this feud is headed toward WrestleMania, or will these two collide much sooner? Will WWE stretch this out and make us wait, or will they capitalize on the momentum and deliver an incredible match within the next few weeks? Your comment could literally help me predict what WWE is about to do next. Roman's return marks a turning point in WWE's storytelling. Everything before this moment was preparation. Everything moving forward is about payoff. Cody has climbed the mountain. Now he has to defend his position against someone who was born for greatness, someone who has the tools and the ability to take absolutely everything away from him. This is why we love professional wrestling. This is why we keep coming back week after week. Because moments like these remind us why wrestling stories matter, why these characters matter, and why the journey toward the biggest matches in the world is the most compelling thing on television. Thank you for watching. Please drop your answers to those questions in the comments. Subscribe to Ring Rumble for more WWE analysis, breaking news, and hot takes that you won't find anywhere else. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. And if you loved this video, please share it with your wrestling friends because they need to see this conversation too. The Tribal Chief has returned, the challenge has been issued, and the future of WWE just became absolutely unpredictable.